Hello and welcome to another video on the Life After Brady channel. Today we're going to take a look at a couple of random stats through the first three games of the NBA playoffs, specifically looking at the Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers, though we will sprinkle in one or two stats from other series so far. These were a series of tweets we sent out Saturday morning, so we're just going to do it in video form. Starting in the top left corner, the Celtics have two of the top six players this postseason in pull-up and shoot field goal attempts per game, with Kemba Walker at 11.7 and Jayson Tatum at 10.3. Tatum's averaging 41.9 field goal percentage on those shots, and of the threes, he's hitting 47.1. Those are 10th and 9th, respectively, for players shooting 5 or more overall field goal attempts per game. Walker is both below him in both of those categories. To me, what that's telling you, it's a lot of mano-a-mano from Walker and Tatum. It's a lot of how the Celtics are driving their offense, and they've just been very good at it. Shooting over 40% on those is a good sign. They've been able to take the Sixers off the dribble. This is the James Harden's category. For those of you who don't know, he's the one who leads the way in the number of attempts of this category. So Walker and Tatum both playing a little bit like that and doing well. I like that moving forward for the Toronto series. Toronto does a great job scrambling, does a great job of getting out on shooters. But if you can just beat your guy one-on-one, there's only so much help defense they can do, when a 5-out offense like the Celtics are going to play. So I like this moving forward. The opposite end of that, the catch and shoots, guys coming off screens, coming off different actions to catch and shoot. Brown and shooting threes. So this is 3-point attempts and field goal percentage. Brown's taking 3.3 game, Tatum's taking 3, Walker's taking 1. Brown and Tatum both shooting very high percentages. Walker a pretty low percentage. To me, Brown clearly, and I don't have the stats of how open he is, but obviously as the third guy in this offense, he's getting the most wide open looks, and he's knocking them down, which he has to. This is where you can't be a 30% shooter on these. You got to be a 40%. He's doing much better at 50%. Tatum also very good, just showing his diversity of what he can do in the offense. Then Walker, I was a little surprised by that. 1.3%, 1.3 at 25%. To me, this is a little bit of, he's just such a great ball handler, which is why you see him in that first stat we talked about, versus he's such a small guy here that, yes, he can run off some screens in action, but a defender can still be on his hip and just can't create the separation the way he can on a one-on-one dribble. That's what I'm seeing, but I'd expect him to still do a little bit more. And then the opposite of that, the post-up action going down to the bottom left-hand corner. Joel Embiid leads the NBA this postseason with 12.3 post-ups per game. Nikola Jokic is second with 8.7. And then Embiid is averaging 0.75 points per post-touch. That's second behind Kawhi Leonard of guys who have 10 or more post-ups this postseason. So, Embiid's been good is what that's telling me. He's been good. He does it the most. People want to talk about, force the ball, don't force the ball to him. He's averaging 3 more per game than anyone else in the NBA, nearly a 25% jump. So, he's clearly separating himself, doing it more, but it's just, this to me is the 3-for-2 math of, unless you're Shaq and you just can absolutely dominate, it's only so effective to do so many post touches. I think the more telling thing, and I don't have it here, of the guys, that were 10 or more post-ups this postseason, I think there was like 6 or 7 of them, and one of the guys on the list was Al Horford, and he was lower on the list. And that to me is more that 2-for-3 math that you're seeing of, yeah, Embiid may be the best at doing this or the second best at doing this, but when your offense is predominantly this, when you have Al Horford doing it too, it's just not that effective. And that's what I think you're seeing here with the 76ers. We looked a little bit more at the lineups. We looked specifically at kind of the 2- and 3-man lineups. Again, this is a small sample size. It's 3 games, and the Celtics have won all 3 games. So that's kind of what you'd expect. But the top 3 is the Celtics' best 3-man lineups that have played 25 minutes or more. And it's Tatum, and Tatum. Not surprisingly, just the offense hums at a different speed when he's in there. Smart's in 2 of these, and Walker's in 2 of these, and the Tice is in 2 of these. It's kind of that combination. I thought it was a little surprising. Walker's not the top lineup. The top one is Smart and Tice, telling you that defense of Smart clearly is making the biggest difference to me versus the offense of Walker, though, Tatum, Walker, and Smart's at 21.4, so it's working quite well. The other thing that was a little surprising to me, the Daniel Tice minutes, and I couldn't find his matchups versus Joel Embiid, but I would have thought Tice would have a little bit of a lower value because he's getting matched up with Embiid a lot versus Cantor, not so much. But Tice is the top two, so pretty impressive from him. And then, as I said, the 76ers lost, so going down to that middle value. We looked at Embiid's minutes specifically and his two-man pairings of guys 25 minutes or more. They were all negative, which is not entirely surprising. They've lost all 3 games. The troubling thing to me was Horford and Harris are the bottom 2 of those ratings. So talk about Shake Milton, Josh Richardson, other guys. The worst pairing is Horford and Harris. Some of that, and I'll get to this in a second with Tatum, those guys have played more minutes than others with Embiid, so just law of averages. You're playing more, you're losing more. That's kind of how it's going to be. But this is just a terrible sign. These are your 2 max guys in Harris and Horford, and you can't play them with your best player, Joel Embiid, or you shouldn't play with your best player. That's really troubling, and that's why Brett Brown's going to get fired here. But I don't understand how the 76ers can look at their GM, and I know the Brian Colangelo situation blew up, and Elton Brand, kind of stepped in there. They had a semi-off season last year, but just talk about whiffing on your off season. You sign Horford and you re-sign Harris, and that's how it's worked out. And this is without Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons supposedly doesn't fit with these guys. Well, these guys don't fit without Ben Simmons either. We looked at Tatum's minutes, the same thing. He played with 7 Celtics, 25 minutes or more. All positive, all very positive. Everyone was above 17 net rating. Walker and Brown were the 2 lowest, which was troubling. But the same thing to me of Harris and Horford a little bit of you're talking about getting to net average. Now, this is more net average versus Horford and Harris actually really should be more positive because they played more minutes. But yeah, Walker and Brown were the 2 lowest. The other thing was Cantor was first and Hayward was second. Obviously, Hayward not too many minutes, but the slow pace is what was best for Tatum. That to me tells me just when he can cook and play with ISO, he's the best, and they just can't stop him. Versus if you're getting more of a track meet, a faster paced game, playing more offense, which is what you're doing with Walker and Brown, he just isn't as good. Or just the difference is closer, I think is what shows. And these are 2 just kind of random things we looked at. Starting in the top left, we looked at the hustle stats on NBA.com. Marcus Smart tied for deflections for a game with 4. Very impressive. That's why he's one of the best defensive players in the league, as he did last night. Stepped up, stole a pass. Screen assists per game, Tice is 5th with 5.3. They're using them, and it just shows a lot that to me the Embiid matchup is not working for Embiid. Whatever they're doing on defense with him dropping just is not working out well. And I thought a little quirky thing, Jaylen Brown is in box outs per game, he's 4th with 7.3. Embiid leads this with around 9. I don't know how much I trust this. I don't know how much value it is. Just to me, it's important. They're playing such small lineups with Brown and Tatum that these guys do need to box out, and that's what they're doing. And then I'll finish up with a Kawhi Leonard stat. He's the most miles traveled with nearly 3 miles of all players right now. Now he's nearly playing 40 minutes, so obviously you play more minutes, you're going to travel more. I just am a little concerned. Last postseason he had injury problems. He clearly won the title still, but I would have thought this would have been a much lower figure. Now they've had the most competitive series so far. They've had the probably highest pace, highest moving games, and most possessions, so most up and down. Doncic would probably be up here, but missed some minutes last game. So for all those reasons, it kind of makes sense. I just get concerned. Yes, they're going to beat the Mavs. They probably win next round against the Nuggets or Jazz, but you start talking Western Conference Finals or championship. Just so the wear on the tires, they're going to be there for Kawhi Leonard, and is he going to break down possibly the same way he did last year? It may not have enough to get the Clippers over the edge. We'll see, though. With that, thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please leave a like or comment below, and subscribe if not already.